Hello everyone and welcome to the first video commentary of 2025. This was the first race of the Puma Cup season at Silverstone on the international circuit. It's been a long time, it's been a long winter, it feels like a long winter since we were out this track for the Burkett back in October, was that, I think? We managed to win a trophy that day, so fingers crossed we'll do the same again this time. So, it's been X amount of months since we were last racing. What's happened since then? Well, over the winter, Woodstock has had a lot of work done, but none of it was particularly performance related. We've shored up a lot of the bodywork, we've reinforced this, we've strengthened that, and we've generally just done maintenance work to make sure that Wood is in the best possible condition. So the last time we were at this track was actually in 2019. It was my first ever race when we last did the Silverstone International configuration. That day I managed a 1:28 something, which was about 4 or 5 seconds off the pace. Luke Johnson managed a 1:24.4. So I was absolutely thrilled that in qualifying this morning I did a 1:23.7. Yeah, it took, well, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths off Luke Johnson's lap record in the Puma Cup. Now, I know that Luke will have improved in those years that have since gone by, but has he improved by 7 tenths since then? I don't know. So it's difficult to get a benchmark. Neil Jackson was behind me today in second place, and he was about 2.5 seconds off my pole position time, and frankly that just seemed unrepresentative, because in the 5 years that Neil and I have been racing each other, I have never had a 2-second advantage over him. That's something crazy. So Woodstock felt fantastic in the morning session, really planted. The power was great, the handling was great, the braking was great, my confidence was up, and I think all that just kind of settled in and made for really competitive sessions, some great lap times. So I'm now on pole position in the Puma Cup. There are 4 of us in the race today. Myself, Neil and Chris are sharing the white car, Mark in the green one, and series newcomer Matthew Everett in the purple blur, the ex-Ben Edwards car. Matty's making his debut today. So up go the revs, and away we go. Okay, looking ahead, I move over to the right, I can see the yellow flag waving, there's a stall car in the middle, skip round that, make some space on the inside, quick check of the mirrors. We got the, is that a Peugeot, silver and blue Peugeot on the left, but we've got a clean run through Abbey Corner. And we've got a Clio in our rear view mirror who's looking to have a go, but I want to keep as many cars between myself and Neil as possible. So I had to defend quite hard up here into the loop or village or whatever they call this corner. We've now got the, keep your eye on the rear view mirror, we've got the Mazda RX-8 and the Renault Clio, and then just as we turn right onto the hanger straight here, whoops, RX-8 has a bit of a wobble, and luckily for us that creates a nice little gap, because there was the Mazda, the Clio, and then there was Neil in the white Puma. Now looking ahead this time, see how far ahead that Peugeot is, the blue and silver one, but look where he starts braking. Now once upon a time I would have settled in behind there, but not today. I want the win. I desperately want to start 2025 with a win, so I go over aggressive and I put the car between us. The last thing I want to happen at this stage of the race is for Neil to get on my bumper, because I know he's not 2.5 seconds slower than me, and if he does get onto my bumper he might up his pace. You know, if I'm lapping consistently in the 24s, he might find something. It might be one bogey corner where I do something different to him. But at the end of the first lap, was this the end of the first lap? Yeah, it is. Yep, there we go. I think there we go, 2.2 seconds, and here comes the Peugeot having a look up the inside, but I'm shutting that door. Now normally in class racing I shouldn't be bothered, I'm not racing that Peugeot, so I shouldn't really defend against it. However, in class racing you have to use the traffic to your advantage, and by keeping the cars between us it creates that buffer zone and gives me a bit more to work with to relax, to help me relax rather and get into my groove. so that hopefully I can kind of break that link between me and Neil and then drive away from him. That's my plan. And sorry, I need to cough 1 second. Done. Sorry about that. Look at this. Who's this coming up the inside though in one of the Hondas? I think that is the Bloor car, Harry Bloor, I think, who was making his debut as well. Really quick car, qualified like 4th or 5th on the grid. So I'm not sure what he's doing back here with us, although he has a horrific lockup into the club chicane just there. There'll be more on that black Civic later, so try and remember this bit. So here we are coming to the end of lap 2. I can't remember the lap times I was doing, but the gap now to second, they'll get 8.6 seconds. Now what that is, I've had a phenomenal lap and probably pulled another 2 away, but Neil is probably caught in traffic, maybe got caught behind somebody else's incident, if somebody got sideways or had a wobble, something like that, and that's caused the gap to go out to 8.6 seconds. Now the rearview mirror is gone, but now it's back. Right, I've clearly not done this for a while. My editing skills have waned over the winter. Are we still synced up? Right, let's go down the Hanger Straight and see when we go under the bridge on the main screen. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the rear view mirror is now about 5 seconds behind. I'm going to pause the voiceover and try and fix that. Hang on a minute. Okay, you're going to think I'm all crazy now because I've just synced up the videos again, which means that the out of sync bit that I've fixed is no longer in the video, so it just looks like I was talking about something that didn't exist. So yeah, sorry about that. I've not done this for quite a while, and the software's changed a lot actually. They've done loads of updates over the winter, which I've had to get used to. Anyways, right, on to a new lap, and I'm going to draw your attention to something this time. Do you see the little lap timer in the middle of my dashboard? And there's like that sky blue screen with 2 things on it. On the right hand side is one timer, on the left that one with the green lit up screen, and the oh sorry, I don't know what that arrow's doing there. Go away, go away, go away. Right, that little green screen, you can just see the red dots to the left of it and to the right of it. That is my AIM Solo 2 lap timer, and it uses some very accurate GPS, and it gives me my live lap times as I'm driving around the circuit. Now those red lights, each one of them represents 1/10 of a second, and they stack up depending on how I'm doing compared to my fastest lap. If I'm ahead of my fastest lap, each one of those lights is green, and if I'm behind, each one of them is red. Now, from a coaching point of view, that can be really helpful, because the sort of turn 3, you know, we've got turn 1 is Abby, the right-hander, then we do the long left, and then we've got the tight right-hander. What I was finding, and what you'll notice this time on the, if you keep your eye on those red dots, is that they were there or thereabouts, 1 or 2 tenths behind. But as soon as we do that tight right-hander, I lose loads and loads of time compared to my fastest lap. Don't know why the video dropped out there. Are we all synced up again? Let's hope so. Okay, so look here, when it resets now, so there's no red dots on there, which means I'm about a par with my fastest ever lap. Now I go around farm here, and then I stand on the brakes, down into 4th, down into 3rd. We've got a couple of red dots now, and then bang, all of them just like that. So in qualifying this morning, I was half a second faster around that one corner, and I don't really know how or why, because in the race it felt like I was doing everything right there, but it was at this point, you know, I've got a big gap now to Neil. Where was he? I think on that lap he was about 11 seconds behind me, so I can't really chase my fastest lap, because it doesn't seem to matter what I do at that corner, I'm losing half a second. That's the kind of thing where I'll have to check later, check the data and the footage and the telemetry, that kind of thing, to try and figure out what I was doing different, and remember for next time I'm at Silverstone on this configuration and using that part of the circuit anyway. So yeah, fastest laps out the window, the gap is growing, So I'm thinking, you know what, just settle into a rhythm, try to look after the car, make sure that you pit as late as possible to avoid getting stung by a safety car, because at this stage in the race there's only really two things that can hinder me. I'm going to say three things. There's getting stung by a safety car, because you can lose a full lap if that works out badly for you and well for someone else. The second thing is getting caught up in someone else's incident. Luckily at this circuit that's not so much of a thing, because it is incredibly wide, there is an awful lot of runoff, and as you can see at the moment I can't see any cars in front of me, and looking in the rearview mirror I can barely see any cars behind. In fact, I can't see any behind. And then of course there's mechanical failure as well. So there's only really three things that can go wrong at this stage. These cameras are poorly synced up. I've just gone under the bridge twice in the space of 3 or 4 seconds. I am sorry, editing skills will be back to normal for the next video after the Donington race in a few weeks time. So yeah, I'm on the radio to Mark Chappell, trusty co-driver and chief mechanic. Mike Brown is also in the pit lane listening on the radio as well and contributing when necessary. And they're just keeping me up to date with things, keeping me up to date with the gaps behind, with the lap times, and kind of occupying me a little bit. And I don't want this to sound contrite, but it starts to get a little bit lonely sometimes. I'm not pushing and the gap is getting bigger and bigger every single lap. I can't see any other cars, so I've no one to chase, I've nobody to defend against, and it's those kind of situations when your brain can get a little bit autopilot and you can start making mistakes. And I wouldn't say daydreaming as such, but you can kind of float off into a world of just letting things happen rather than concentrating and making sure that everything you do is deliberate. And it can cause errors and mistakes. So Mark and Mike are on the radio keeping me mentally sharp, and I'm just driving around. I'm trying to hit my marks, not make any mistakes. I'm braking a little bit earlier than normal, I'm turning in a little bit gentler than normal, and I'm stamping on the throttle a little bit later than normal, because like I said, there's no point chasing a fastest lap. I've already got that, and the gap's growing lap on lap. That said, I do like attacking it into club chicane. That's really satisfying when you nail that. Get the rumble strip going. There you go. Sounds like an elephant's fart, but it's great. It's really satisfying. So here we are over the line. I've no idea what lap we're on. What's the gap back to second this time, John? I thought I was going to tee that perfectly with my... Oh, there it is. 16 seconds. My time is way off on this video. I'm finding this quite funny actually. But anyways, right then. So 16 seconds to the car behind. Now, bearing in mind that when does the pit window open? The pit window opens after 10 minutes, and I've got to make a mandatory 90-second stop. Now that 90 seconds is between the speed limit line and the end of the pits, where basically the zone that you're in a speed limit for, 60 kilometers per hour here at Silverstone. So you'll see it when I actually do make the pit stop. There's a really long pit entry and you can really attack it. In fact, it's coming up on the right hand side now. I'm not coming into the pits this lap, but just there, look, you see on the right hand side, there's the pit lane. So you could be flat out, absolutely hooning it all the way down to the pit entrance. You do have to get on the brakes, of course, because there's a 90-degree right-hand turn into the pit lane, but that's where the speed limit starts, not when you pull off the circuit. And I wish more and more drivers were aware of this, because in a long pit lane, if you just go down to 60 kilometers per hour as soon as you leave the circuit, you're going to cost yourself an absolute bucket load of time, and anybody behind you is also going to end up being cost a bucket load of time. So you can go as fast as you like down the pit lane up to the point where the speed limit sign is, and that is where you hit your 60 kilometers, and that is where you start timing your pit stop from. 90 seconds in our case. the idea for the mandatory pit stop is to level things up for drivers and teams who have 2 drivers in their car. You can car share in the Puma Cup, so you can split the drive, like myself and Mark Chappell have done. So that 90 seconds in the pit lane is the same for everyone. So if drivers are swapping over, like Nick Full-James and Neil Jackson are in this one, then it means they're not at a disadvantage. So you can go racing with your mates, like Mark and I do, like Chris and Neil do. Sorry, Nick and Neil do. I'll get it all mixed up with names. And it makes the Puma Cup a lot more accessible for people because you can split the costs with a mate. So there goes Adam Brown in his Fiesta. Adam is the overall race leader, and I don't know how many laps we've done at this point, but it's taken that long for the leaders to catch me. And there we go. I've now got a 21.7 second gap back to second place. Now, where's the next car in the rearview mirror? Can't see. That low sun was really causing us to struggle with visibility. But I want you to have a listen just around this right-hander. Did you hear that? If you know what you were listening for, you might have done. There was a really low, burbly, bassy rumble, and I thought that I had just gone wide a little bit and picked up some marbles on my tyres. Motorsport tyres are very soft, and as they drive around, you end up with little bits of rubber at the side of the circuit, and they can be quite hard, and if you pick them up on your tyres, it makes an awful racket as you go around, as you're driving around, and it flies off and hits the rest of the car. And however, it turns out that little bassy rumble that I heard wasn't that. I'm hearing it some more, and as I come onto the start line, keep your eye on the rear view mirror and see if you can see some blue smoke. Okay, what you may... I don't know if you could see the blue smoke. I've only got a little thumbnail as I'm doing the voiceover, so I can't see how prevalent it is. But that noise is now really loud. I can hear it coming from the left rear corner, and I can see plumes of blue smoke. Not much, but there was plumes of blue in the wing mirror and a little bit in the rear view mirror as well. So at this stage, I've radioed through to Mark and Mike and said, suspected puncture, boxing this lap. In my head, I've picked up a puncture, and the tyre is falling to pieces and flapping around like Gilles Villeneuve in his Ferrari back in the day, and I can't go flat out because all of that tyre that's flailing around, I'm worried that will just fly off, and then I'll be driving back to the pits on the wheel rim. But I would say you could sort of see me fighting the steering wheel. It's kind of okay on the straight bit, but I know that these boys behind are going to catch me as I do the right-hander of Stowe, and I'm really worried about my car stepping out or anything flying off my car and causing an issue. So here I go to the pits, and I've told the boys, get the jack ready, get the tyre ready, get the wheel gun ready, that kind of thing. But Harry in the car in front, he's come down to this pit lane speed limit all the way down the pit entry. And I'm quite frustrated about that because you're just hemorrhaging time. That 20-second lead that I had, it's going massively. Now, if we can change the tyre inside the 90 seconds, I can get back out and fight for the race win. So it is not all lost at this stage. So there's Mike on the right hand side. Mark just running around the front of the car with the gun in his hand. He's looking at the left rear. Mike's already at the left rear, and
game over. Is it game over?
Wheel bearings toast.
Right.
Have you just put your handbrake on?
Yeah. There you go. Wheel bearing is toast. It is game over. Oh God, really difficult to put the emotions into context here. I've never dominated a race like I have dominated that one. And sorry, Mum, I just used a naughty word there. Back to the paddock, and that's it. There is nothing can be done. It's nobody's fault. I couldn't have done anything differently. Wheel bearings, unfortunately, they just go. And to put this into perspective, we've had 2 DNFs in 6 years. So I'm absolutely gutted. I was on for the win. I was looking for the win, but it didn't happen today. Sometimes motorsport just does that. It's rubbish. Neil and Nick took the win. Congratulations to them. It was actually a really close race. Mark was first over the line by about half a second, but he incurred a pit lane penalty and that demoted him to second. And Matty, on his debut, got a podium. Really pleased for you, and it was nice to meet you as well, Matty. So next race, CSCC Puma Cup of Donington on the 12th of April. Thank you so much for watching. There is a bit of bonus footage coming up your way. You might have seen it before, but if you haven't, enjoy it. Cheers, everyone. Okay, thought I'd do a quick video as I leave the circuit. I don't know when I'm going to post this one or if it'll go into the actual video edit, but just wanted to get my thoughts out really after what's happened today. If you'll indulge me, let's do that. Oh, is Mike alright? You good? Mike's good. Mike's good. Right, that's fine. Yeah, what was I going to say? I just wanted to get my thoughts out for the day while they're still fresh, and then see if I feel the same in the morning or whatnot, you know. So to put you in the picture, this morning in qualifying, the car felt absolutely phenomenal. I targeted a sort of mid-24 as a lap time and managed to get down to almost a mid-23. The handling of the car just felt so much tighter than it did last year, and it was just brilliant. It kept getting faster and faster and faster. I was approximately 2.5 seconds faster than Neil Jackson in the white Puma, but I think that flattered to deceive a little bit, because in the 4 or 5 years we've been racing together, I've never been 2 seconds faster than Neil. So either I've jumped on an awful lot or he had a bad day, but that 2 seconds is not representative of a normal gap between us, not at all. So I went into the race in pole position for the Puma Cup with a decent pace advantage, but not really knowing how that would translate into a race situation. So anyway, went out for the race, got a really good start. There was a stalled car in front, managed to avoid nicely, and I could see Neil in my mirrors. It was, I think, 3 or 4 cars behind. It's difficult to tell, but as I was just aggressive. I thought, I don't want him getting on my bumper and then finding extra pace, which he didn't have before, which he's just unlocked because he's following me. So I decided I wanted to get as many cars between us as possible. And what's going on here? Mark stopped to chat to Gary, but let's block everyone up. Hang on, brake lights are off, he's pulling in. That's fine. I'd love to stop and chat, guys, but I've got a 2-hour drive myself, so I'm out of here. They're all right. They'll ring me if they need any help. Excuse me. So where was I? Yeah, so into the race then. I had a good start and wanted to put as many cars between myself and Neil as possible. So there were a couple of late lunges onto the hanger straight, round Stowe, that kind of thing, and then just found my groove. You know, the cars in front started to pull away, the cars behind me started to drop behind, and I was on the radio to Mark and Mike on the pit wall, just asking, you know, about the gaps and make sure everything was okay. And the gap was pulling out about 2 seconds a lap, so it seemed that the advantage we had in qualifying was genuine and consistent. You know, 4 or 5 laps in, the gap was about 10 seconds. I thought, I didn't know what was healthy. What kind of gap should I actually go for? Excuse me. So I decided I'm going to go for about 20 seconds and then I'll back off and start measuring things. And sure enough, I got to a gap of about 20 seconds and then I just backed off. I was just sort of cruising for 3 or 4 laps, and the corner doesn't really have a name, but it's the right-hander that leads onto the Hanger Straight. I suppose you could call it Chapel, but it's the other way around. I heard a noise, like a rumble noise, like a blah, 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 and I thought I'd just run wide a little bit and picked up some rubber, and it stuck to the tyre and it was knocking. You know, you get that sometimes, that's a thing. And I thought that's what happened. I'm going down the Hanger Straight and the noise stopped. So, okay, the noise has stopped. Went into Stowe Corner and took it a bit steadier because I didn't want to approach on the limit if there was something wrong. So I did go a bit steady around Stowe, but again, it wasn't a problem. There was no particular... everything felt fine, everything sounded fine. So I then accelerated down to the club corner, the sort of little left-right chicane, towards the end of the lap by the pit entrance, attacked that corner, and then exiting out of club onto the start-finish straight, that's when the noise got really bad, and I looked in the mirror and I could see plumes of blue smoke, and that was when I knew, oh god, something's up here. So I was checking the traffic. So yeah, I knew something was up, and I thought I got a puncture because the wheel was still clearly on, but I thought we'd torn the tyre to pieces, and the noise I was hearing was the rubber flapping around, and the blue smoke was rubber against the bodywork as we were driving along. So I was straight on the radio to tell the boys on the pit lane, you know, suspected puncture, I'm coming in. And I crawled around the lap. You know, I didn't want I thought that the rubber was flailing around, so I've got to go steady, because if the rubber comes off the rim and then we're scraping that along on the ground like Gilles Villeneuve did all them years ago, you know, it's yeah, that's catastrophic. So on the radio to the boys, you know, get the spare wheel ready, get the wheel gun, get the jack, rapid tyre change coming up. That was the intention coming into the pits. But as I made my way around the lap, I started to realise, yeah, this is a bit more than a puncture. Just got that sixth sense, just got that feeling. And sure enough, came into the pits, and Mark and Mike took one look at the left rear. There was grease exploded everywhere. They knew that the bearing was gone. In fact, I think that, I don't know who said it actually, it might have been Mark. It could have been Mike, but I think it was Mark, just said, yeah, the bearing's toast, mate, you're going to have to park it. That's my recollection, but when I checked the footage later, I wonder if that line was actually uttered. The bearing is toast, mate, yeah, just park it. Good example of how you think you remember something, but the reality is often different. So, summary, I have never dominated a race weekend like that and not won. It's incredibly frustrating. I'm not going to get too beat up about it because I've been doing this long enough. You know, stuff happens, and you can let it ruin your day, let it ruin your week, or you can look at the fact that Woodstock was phenomenal. My driving was bang on point. I was hitting my lap times quickly and consistently. I made conscious decisions in certain corners to try new things, and they worked. You know, sort of being proactive and thinking through the driving process. So I'm pleased with myself for that. And when it comes to a wheel bearing, I couldn't have done anything different. Mark and Mike couldn't have done anything different. Just one of those things, and it got us. So I'll remain philosophical in that regard. The pace is there. Have we bridged the gap to be as fast as Luke and Jamie? I don't know. Maybe. I went quicker than I've ever been here before. I went quicker than I was expecting to. I think I've set a Puma Cup lap record for the international circuit, and I'll have to check that on TSL tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So assuming we don't go back to the international circuit for a few years, then that's my name in the record books, which is a pretty cool thing. So, but who knows? We've got Donington coming up in a few weeks. It's the middle weekend of April. I can't remember the exact day. It's on a Saturday. But, you know, we'll get the car fixed for then. We'll assess the tyre situation, maybe put some new boots on the front like we did last year. because Donington really wants nice shiny new front tyres. They make a big difference. And the big guns are out. Luke is registered, Jamie is registered, Gareth Cotgrove is registered, both the Jacksons are there, I will be there. This is the Puma Cup Magnificent 6. I'd love to say Magnificent 7. I'm trying to think who the 7th might be, because there is a 7th entry, but Charlotte couldn't remember who it was. So yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll get the car fixed. We're going to go hell for leather at Donington. And you know, once upon a time, I wanted to be on Jamie and Luke's tail. I wanted to fight for a podium if those guys were in the race. But after today, I'm thinking, you know what, we can take the race to them. We could have a crack at the wins when they're there. And I don't know if I should... Yeah, I'm going to say it. What the hell? Luke and Jamie have always been a bit quicker than me. Always, always, always. I have beaten Jamie in a couple of races, fair and square, where we didn't have penalties. We were just duking it out on the racetrack, and I won. It's only happened a few times, and Jamie's done it more to me than I have to him, but I have managed to beat him nevertheless. Luke, on the other hand, the only times I've ever beaten Luke have been when he's had a problem, and he's had a few over the years. But I've never beaten Luke in a... I nearly said face-to-face, that's not the right word. I've never beaten Luke in a straight-up, fair, wheel-to-wheel battle where nothing went wrong for either of us. No penalties, no mechanicals, anything like that. So, yeah, Donington, hope that Luke gets out, because I know, well... Yeah, I understand why Luke might not get out, but fingers crossed he does. It'll be good to see his dad Barry as well, and it'll feel like all the Puma Cup boys are properly back together to get 2025 going. So, I hope this is all recorded. I'm on my little spy glasses, and I'm not very impressed with them. They're a bit tricky. I don't even know if this is recording or not. I think it is, but I'll get home, and if it's not there, I shall do another version. But it'll be a lot briefer than this one. If you made it to the end of this, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a bit different, different way to find out what happened over the weekend. I'm going to try and get the actual race video up tomorrow, so that'll be online Monday evening, I would think. And assuming that happens, then I'll send out all the, links and whatnot for you to go and have a look. And then you'll be able to see for yourself what I've just spent the last 10 minutes or so talking about. So, as I get to the McDonald's roundabout on the A43 North, headed towards the M1, I shall say thank you very much. A huge thank you to Joe Turton and his son Malachi for coming along. Joe's a great mate of mine. I've known him many, many years, and his boy Malachi's a total dude, and he's a car nut. And they've just had I'm really pleased. They've had a great day. They've been brilliant at supporting me. I love the encouragement. Thanks, guys. They've been wandering around looking at supercars, watching all the racing. It's been brilliant. And I won't tell anyone how much they spent on food, despite my warning to bring a pack up, because the food at the track is expensive. But you know, anybody, not just Joe Malachi, but anyone's welcome at the track with Team Guroba anytime they please. If you want tickets, just ask, and we'll do our best to sort them out. Nice to see Chris Fantana at the track as well. Oh, here comes Chapel just as I'm finishing the video. Beep beep. Oh, I really hope that's recorded now. I really, really hope that's recorded, because I won't be able to engineer that all the way back home. Right, I'm signing off. Fingers crossed this is recorded and is now about to save. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Bye.